Welcome to the studio tour. Honestly, this is one of my favorite kind of videos to make because it's just me nerding out off the cuff about all the equipment I use to make cool videos, and I absolutely love that because I'm just a massive nerd. This video is kind of going to be in two sections. One for the more studio-oriented stuff that I use for shooting these kind of videos, and then a more desk setup tour for when I'm editing these kind of videos. So let's start off with the set/background of my tiny apartment. As you can see, the apartment has a very warm and cozy vibe to it, and my beautiful girlfriend decided to go with these warm wood tones throughout the apartment, and that kind of brings it to life, which is why this studio kind of looks the way it does. Let's talk about the centerpiece of the apartment, the Kallax. Now this is the 5x5 Kallax from IKEA, and living in a small Hong Kong apartment, you have to optimize for storage. With our limited space, we wanted something that looked nice, was functional, and had the capacity to store a bunch of things. I'm gonna give you a quick overview of my favorite cubes of the Kallax that are most relevant to this kind of video. Up first are the two most noticeable cubes in this Kallax, which are the Fados, also from IKEA. These are beautiful orb lamps that just disperse soft light everywhere and really bring everything to life. Not only do they add a nice aesthetic to the apartment and the Kallax, but they also add a really nice vibe to the set. The thing that's giving these Fados life is actually the Aperture B7C. So not only are these beautiful warm lights, but they are 100% color tunable, full RGB, and spec'd out for full cinema grade level lighting quality. I can change the color to match the vibe I want in every single video or in just everyday life, and it is fully color tunable, so I can go from warm light to bright cool light whenever I want, which is really, really nice. Lamps always make your shot more interesting. Moving on to the top left corner of the Kallax, we have my gimbals, and this is what I've been using when I need those smooth B-roll shots for certain products or throughout this video that you're seeing right now. The next two shelves I want to talk about are my camera storage solutions. On one shelf, we have the Fuji X100VI and my Canon film camera, as well as a bunch of different batteries, flashes, different equipment that I can just easily pull and get when I need them. Knowing where things are and having a dedicated organization system really does help for when you are looking for that one specific tool or when you're packing for a client shoot and you know that you've already gotten it and you know exactly where it is. Right below that cube is where I keep my full frame camera stuff. So this is where my additional lenses as well as additional body will go when it's not in use. So I'm currently filming all this B-roll on the A7S III with the 24-70 GM Mark II, but this would usually be stored in this cube with all my other equipment that's not currently in use. If you want to know what my current lens collection consists of, in addition to my 24-70 GM Mark II, I have the 20 1.8G, 85mm 1.8, 35 1.4 G Master. I also have the Laowa 10mm f2.8 because that's just an insane lens because it's so interesting. And I also have a 35mm from Sirui. So if you want to check out that video, right up here. All right, let's move on to background lighting. I have the Godox RS60R right back here giving me a little rim light. I think you can see that. And the reason I have that there is usually this is a 35mm and that is not in frame. So what you don't see is that this is giving me that nice rim light, but it's faking these Fados giving me that rim light. And then in the background right here, we have another Godox RS60R rocking the 35mm projector, which is so beautiful. And I love this because you have this entire light lighting the background so it looks like there's window light coming in. And even if some of you don't think it looks real, I really like what it adds to the background because it really adds some depth and beauty to an otherwise very plain background. Like, look at this. If I turn this off, now the apartment just looks sad and like way more serious and less cozy. But having it on just makes the whole set and final image look way better. All right, let's talk about what I'm actually using to film and record right now, everything in front of me and around me, because I know a lot of you are probably most interested in that. I'm gonna switch the viewpoint to this camera so you can see what I'm seeing. So this is what I'm seeing when I'm filming videos, and the heart of the operation is the Sony a7 IV, and this is an absolute workhorse of a camera. Even though it might not be the best video spec wise, for a talking headshot like this where it's on a tripod and there's no movement, it is absolutely killer. You get a 7K oversample and it looks gorgeous. Right now we're rocking the 20mm f1.8G lens. Usually, like I said previously, I will be rocking a 35 1.4 G Master because I like the viewpoint of that a little bit better. The framing is just a little bit nicer for a talking head. But for the purposes of this studio tour, I wanted to just have a wider angle so you could see a little bit more in frame. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see that I have a big ass monitor here. And this is the Hollyland Pyro 7. I absolutely love this monitor. Not only is it gorgeous and bright and color accurate, it is able to take on LUTs. So I actually have the LUT that I use for my final color grade attached to this. Like, I imported this LUT, so I know exactly what my color grade is gonna look like right out of the box, which is just so good because not only can I check if I'm in focus, I can see my framing, I can see what my waveforms are, what my color accuracy is, like all these different things. This monitor has so many different things. Here are my zebras, you have false color, which I absolutely love. The fact that it's 7 inches just makes my life so much easier because I got so used to just kind of seeing myself on this tiny, tiny screen. And more often than not, it works. You can definitely get away with it. But having a nice big monitor that you can just see everything with makes a huge difference. Now, powering this setup is one of my most recent purchases that I'm most excited about is this brand new small rig 212 battery. This is the Caleb Pike version of this battery. This is an absolute game changer. The reason why I got this big battery is because I wanted to streamline the process of making videos, because usually I'd have to take an NPF battery and put it on the back of this monitor, and then I'd have to make sure that all my typical Sony batteries were charged and put it into the camera. Sometimes I'm not always the best on camera and things take multiple takes and I'm having a bad day and something that should take like 45 minutes takes like 2 hours, and then I have to worry about battery life, and then I have to worry about the monitor dying on me and all these things, and it was just really frustrating having to like stop the flow of the video, put a new battery in, and then come back and try and prepare myself to get everything going again. This solves that. With this battery, I can basically power and shoot for like 9 hours non-stop, which is absolutely insane, and I'm never gonna need that kind of thing for these kind of YouTube videos. Just knowing peace of mind that this will more than last 2 hours at a time and I don't have to think about power, that is all I cared about, and it is so nice being able to just turn on my monitor, turn on my camera, and everything is ready to go. The reason why I was drawn to this battery over other batteries was not only the insane capacity it has, but the fact that it had 2 DTAP ports, and that's where these cables come in. So the power cable for the monitor is actually a DTAP to DC power cable, and that is actually from the company Zitte. One little detail that I like about this is that it actually shows like the voltage and wattage on the side of the plug. But the arguably more important cable is this DTAP to Sony dummy battery cable, because I've been looking for this kind of power solution for a really long time and I found it. This cable is from Tilta and I absolutely love this thing because it doesn't have any compatibility issues with my camera. I know that a lot of third-party batteries have issues with Sony cameras, but there are no issues like that with this cable. On top of powering my camera setup, this thing is great for just charging anything that's on my desk when I need it, because it has 2 USB-C ports, 1 USB-A port, and 2 DC inputs. So if my devices are running low, I don't need to worry about battery life. And speaking of battery life, it's time to pay some bills. I've been looking for a good wireless charger for my iPhone, so when ESR reached out about sending me their brand new 3-in-1 charger, it felt like a no-brainer. This beautiful stand sits on my desk, allowing me to charge my iPhone, AirPods Pro 3, and Apple Watch Ultra all at the same time, so I'm always juiced up. This is a Qi 2.2 charger, which means you can get 25-watt charging on compatible devices, meaning wireless charging can finally compete with wired speeds. The iPhone 17 Pro gets to 60% in just 30 minutes, faster and better than Apple's own MagSafe charger. And thanks to ESR's built-in Cryo Boost technology, your phone remains cool while charging, increasing charging speeds and protecting your phone, all while remaining whisper quiet. You can position your phone in either portrait or landscape, great for looking at messages or doom scrolling or watching YouTube videos or just having a nice aesthetic clock on your desk. The watch charger is also really nifty. Not only can it charge an Apple Watch 10 to 50% in 30 minutes, but it's detachable, so you can take it with you when you're traveling in a convenient form factor. We love multi-use functionality. And speaking of multi-use functionality, the charger it comes with is a 50-watt adapter. This tiny thing is 50 watts. You can use this as a dedicated charging brick for your other devices too. If you're interested, you can check this out at the link in the description. Now, holding up this camera setup is the Manfrotto Be-Free Live tripod, and they don't actually make this model anymore because this model is over 8 years old at this point. So that just goes to show Put your money into a good tripod and it will last you a really, really long time. Now, this is not a fancy tripod. It's a travel video tripod. It has a video head on it with no like counterbalance or anything, so it's not super smooth, but you can pan and tilt, and it's relatively easy, and I've been using this for a really, really long time. I do have a better, more professional tripod, but again, because I'm in a small Hong Kong apartment, there's not really space for a big professional tripod, especially in this small little corner desk environment. And attached to the vertical column of that tripod is a SmallRig magic arm. Now, everyone has these, everyone knows and has a love-hate relationship with them. They're like 10, 15 bucks on Amazon. They are super helpful tools, but the SmallRig one is, you know, because it's $10 to $15, not the most reliable, not the strongest, falls apart fairly easily, and I wouldn't trust this in a super professional situation. I'm actually in the market for a significantly better magic arm in the not so distant future. I've been looking at things from Bright Tangerine, and their Titan Arm 2 looks absolutely fantastic. So you might see a video on that in the near future. Now moving on to this thing, the thing that you see, this weird thing that you might be wondering, why the heck is this in the shot? What is going on? This is my new lighting setup, and I freaking love it. Let's start with the light. So my key light is the Aperture Storm ADC, and I freaking love this light. I loved it so much that I actually got the 3-light kit with my own money and did a whole video on that. So if you want to check that out, TLDR, this light is freaking amazing. Not only is it like way more powerful than it is supposed to be, it really does punch out of its price range, but it is one of the most, if not the most, like color accurate light on the market right now because it's using Aperture's new Blair CG engine. So not only are you getting like the best quality white light, but you're also getting really good quality RGB. It's just so good. This light is so versatile and you can use it in almost any way. Now, because we're shooting on the A7 IV in S-Log3, that means that the native ISO is 800, which is decently high. And then we also have a wide aperture lens. So usually even with a 35mm f1.4, I'm shooting at f1.8. So it's a nice bright, nice shallow depth of field in the background going on. And because of those two factors, this 80-watt light is actually more than powerful enough for what I need it to do. I am running this 80-watt light at 20%, and it is lighting me absolutely beautifully. Now, one of my more recent purchases is this brand new modifier from Lightbank. This is an inflatable modifier, and I freaking love these. I know that they've been out on the market for a while, and I started seeing like the first generation ones, and I was very skeptical that a modifier could be good if it was inflatable, but then I saw the more professional versions come out, and now we have like the Aperture Infinimat, which is completely inflatable. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give inflatables a shot, because if they do what they're supposed to do, that makes my life much easier. They're easier to put up and take down, and they're far more transportable if I'm doing client work that requires me to travel or, you know, put this on a plane. You can have a huge modifier and compact it down quite easily. And I'm happy to report that this modifier freaking rocks, man. Like, I am so happy with how this turned out. It's a 1 meter modifier, so it's large, but it is so soft, so good, and very easily transportable. It is this like tube shape factor, and it is a Bowens mount. Now, because the Aperture ADC is not a Bowens mount camera, I am using the Aperture Mini Lock to Bowens mount adapter, and that's how I'm able to mount this to the light. And then on top of this Lightbank modifier, I have added a shower curtain. And now that might seem like a really weird thing to put on top of a modifier, but it just adds that extra little bit of softness that I really, really like in this talking head shot. And I did a whole bunch of lighting tests with different modifiers and different levels of diffusion, and whether or not I was using the grid to make sure I cut light so it was just on me. And this ended up being my favorite setup, just the plain Lightbank with a shower curtain on top, and the soft light is just gorgeous. This setup is actually heavily inspired by Keaton Nye, who I've been loving his videos lately. He's a filmmaker that absolutely has so much experience and really just makes you think about why you should be getting paid, how you should be getting paid. And in one of his videos, he had this exact setup with the Lightbank huge inflatable modifier, as well as a shower curtain. I was really intrigued by this because I know that shower curtains just offer a bunch of soft light, and some of my favorite creators like George are using shower curtains for that super soft light. And I never used one, so I went out and bought a very good frosted clear one, and it's definitely made a difference. I think there's a nice soft element to this. So go check out Keaton Nye because he makes some great videos that I think you could benefit from. And go check out my friend George because he has some beautiful content, and I am always in awe of what he's able to produce because he's a massive inspiration, and I'm trying to up my game when it comes to product photography and videography. When it comes to audio, I actually boom my microphone right here. You can't see it because it's just out of frame, but I've been using the Deity S-Mic 2S paired with the Deity HD-TX recorder for quite a few years now. I think I got this set up in about 2020, so it's been around 6 years at this point. And because the Deity S-Mic 2S is so small and the HD-TX isn't that heavy, I can actually just attach it without needing a whole shock mount setup and can just be held with the clip that came in the box, and I can use it as a handheld microphone as well. Now the next piece of kit that I use is actually my iPad, and this usually sits right below the camera monitor so I know what I'm going to say for a specific video. I usually have my script or at least some notes jotted down on here, so if I'm talking down the barrel of the lens and I finish a sentence, I can then glance down at my iPad, see what I need to say next, see if I actually nailed the take on that specific sentence, look back up, and say it again. The other thing I want to mention real quick is these blackout curtains. Without these curtains, this lighting setup just wouldn't work. Being able to completely block out the sun and have full control over the lighting in the space is what allows this space to actually exist and look the way it does on camera. So without the blackout curtains, this would be a completely different setup. All right, let's move on to my desk setup. So I've taken the shower curtain off and I've put the 10mm Laowa on the A7 IV here for the talking head, just so you can see the entire desk and what I use it for. So let's start with the desk. This is the Mitson by IKEA, and this is the 80 by 140 version. It is an electric standing desk, and we got it in the birch/white colorway, and you can adjust the height with the electric motors, and it's just so nice that you can just dial in exactly what you want. It has 2 presets that you can customize and dial in to your heart's content, and I think most people are probably going to use that for one sitting, one standing preset, so you can just go to whichever you prefer. Let's talk about the heart of the entire operation, the thing that without I could not make any of this, because this is the thing that allows me to create all of the content you see online. And this I am still rocking because it is still so good. The 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro. This thing is still an absolute workhorse, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade, and I think I'm leaning towards waiting for the M6 Max chip to come out when that eventually does come out, because there are rumors surrounding a completely redesigned MacBook Pro. Right alongside that is my M4 11-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard attachment, which I absolutely love because we live in a small apartment in Hong Kong. There isn't really space for a huge monitor. Both my girlfriend and I really want a monitor, but I think it doesn't make sense in our current space with our current setup. So as a secondary display, I love using my iPad as that extra screen real estate. I'm also rocking my custom keyboard. This is a Keychron K6 Pro, and I absolutely love this thing. I customized it with the purple octopus keycaps from Polycap. It's a 65% keyboard, and that's all I need because I don't need the numpad. And I also swapped out the default switches to the Gazoo Boba Gum 68-gram switches because I just like that little bit of like resistance, and I think it's really nice. Alongside my keyboard, the now kind of infamous in my mind MX Master 4, and I think this mouse is very good, but is it worth the price? And is it as good as the 3S? Debatable. You can watch my video on that, but this has been my main mouse for the time being, and as much as I don't think it's a huge upgrade over the previous generation, it's still a very good mouse, and I do appreciate the customization that comes with it. So I love having all the ability to map certain keys in DaVinci Resolve. It does help me speed up my workflow and make sure that I'm getting videos out at a faster pace than I would without the mouse. The desk also has built-in hooks on either side, so I've hung my Rode NTH100 headphones on the right side and the cable on the left side. And this is what I use when I'm editing audio. Now, if I close all of this, you can still see that there's space on the desk and it serves certain purposes. So one of my favorite things is actually my battery charger for my camera batteries. And the system I currently have is if the batteries are on this side, they're not charged yet. And if they are on this side, they are charged. So I know mentally when my batteries are fully charged. And the reason that's able to be on my desk is because this desk actually has cable management and the ability to hold a power bar. So there's actually a power bar deep in the desk right here. And if I take this off, you can see that I have my MacBook Pro charger, my 140 watt charger, and that is just like a basic USB-C thing that charges my laptop if need be. and any other USB-C capable device when it needs to, so I can charge the big Kahuna battery I was talking about earlier when it does eventually get low. And I'm still trying to figure out what else I can plug in there to set on my desk that would make the most sense. As I continue using the desk, as I figure out more power solutions, that will become a very elegant solution for everything that needs to be charged on the desktop. And then in the top right corner of the desk, the thing that's not currently visible on camera is actually where I store all my wires and hard drives. So when I'm working on client videos and whatnot, and I'm backing stuff up to my hard drives, I keep it all there in the corner of the desk to make sure that it's all organized, I know where everything is, and I can easily access it and put it into my computer and have access to all the files that I need to work on. And that concludes the studio tour and desk setup in my tiny Hong Kong apartment. Let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more content like this in the future, and feel free to drop some recommendations of gear I should acquire if you think it would make sense. My name is Mark Steiner, and I will see you next time.